Hi there everyone, and welcome back to the Vintage Sewing Machine Garage. You are looking at the Kenmore 158.17572. You may also have a Kenmore 158.17571 and sometimes a Kenmore 158.17570. The reason you see this is because there were many different variations of Kenmore models. The Sears company was so massive. Their sewing departments were huge. They were only outsold in sewing machines by Singer. And that says a lot because Singer sold a lot of machines. If you're number two, that's pretty good. In any case, I wanted to show you today how you will thread a sewing machine of this model. And again, there are other Kenmore models that will be very similar. And thanks to viewer suggestions, because I have threaded these machines so often, many of these models that I have restored many times, I simply thread it, and I'm giving videos about different things. And some of you said, could you please thread, show us how to thread this? And so for machines that I have, that's one of the things I'm hoping to do for you, because the manual is great, the text is great, but it is nice to have a visual to go along. Okay, so this machine, I'm going to unthread it for us. Remember, always, I'm going to take the thread out. We're going to start from the beginning, but I need to remove this. But this is, the video is not really about removing the thread, but in this case, it might help. Okay, so anytime you're going to take thread out, many of you will need to change thread color, or your spool has run dry, whatever that is. Whatever the case may be, I want you to remember, always remove the thread that is past your tension assembly. Always pull the thread out in the same direction you originally threaded it. Okay, now it may just run out. If it runs out, you'll literally know because you won't see any stitches and the thread is gone. But notice I'm down here and I'm pulling the thread. You can see it coming, and I'm pulling it in the direction that the machine is designed to be threaded in. And that's important because that protects your check spring. Always be nice to your check spring. They are surprisingly durable. They're beautifully made, but they don't like to be pulled backwards. I want you to think of the thread path of your machine as a one-way street. Don't go against the direction. Don't go against the current, against the grain, whatever metaphor works for you. Okay, so above the tension assembly, I'm not concerned. Typically, that's not an issue. So we're going to start from the top. Okay, you have your Kenmore, and you want to thread it, or you're replacing the thread. I like to start. You'll notice I have the spool of thread here, and the thread is hanging on the left side. Okay, and I like to do that because I'm going to get the spool on there, and then I've got a couple of thread guides. So I am going to show you. We got thread guide number 1. Looks like a little pigtail there, and then I've got thread guide number 2. Okay, now let me do that again. I did that quickly, so I'm going to come over here. I'm on the back. See if I can zoom in here. Make it a little easier for you to see because we're dealing with thread and thread guides here. Oh, there we go. All right. So I'm coming again with the thread. You can see it. I'm going to come here. See what you're seeing. There we go. And watch your thread because, the video I've made before showing how easy it is to, let's move our focus back just a bit. It's easy for thread to get wiggled and coiled around places. For example, you'll notice I have the thread spool. I just lifted it. If your thread is tugging on you, it could be coiled around your spool pin. And that is also common. It happens to everyone. It happens to me. And I touch a lot of machines. So again, make sure your pin, okay, that spool pin, there should be no thread coiled around it. That's just to hold your thread spool, not to have thread wrapped around it. But it can happen to you. It's one of the most common things that causes issues. And your thread will break because it's jamming, okay? It's not the machine's fault. It's, we have to watch what the machine is up to. Okay, so I'm coming to the left, and notice the thread guide right here. And I'm going to come up like that. And when I lift up, I'm pulling the thread toward the support of the little pigtail at the top. Okay, so I'm coming here, and I'm going to lift up. And when I do, it should thread for me. I'm going to get a little bit better angle. Make sure you guys see exactly what I'm looking at here. Get my cam positioned properly. Okay, so I'm coming with my thread toward the left. I'm going to pull it toward me on the other side of this support. This is the a part of the thread guide. It looks like a little pyramid-shaped tower. Pulling it toward me, and then I'm just going to lift up, and when I do, it's going to go into the little pigtail there, and it should stay. This front guide wanted to get threaded really quickly. Now I'm going to do this one. When I do the front thread guide, I'm going to come to the left of the support. I'm going to pull up, and you'll feel something. It'll feel like a little. It's not making a clinking sound, but you should feel it engage as it gets into its proper spot. Okay, there. And now it's threaded in the two top thread guides. Do not skip a thread guide. Okay, if you do, you won't like the result because they're not designed to work that way. Okay, now I have to go up and down here because I can show the entire machine how to thread it, but it'll be far away. I want to focus in so you can see it more closely. So I'm coming to the right side of the thread guide, and this machine has, I call it, I think Kenmore had a different name for this. I call it the tongue. It's like a little chrome tongue, and it's angled away from you. So you're going to put the thread right on there, right on the tongue, and then move to the left, and it'll slide right in. Okay? It's basically acts as a guide to help make sure that you get the thread between the tension discs. If you're not between the tension discs, you're not going to get good thread tension, and the whole point of this exercise is to get your machine properly threaded. All right, let's zoom back just a bit. Okay, so remember I'm coming around, so I'm coming around clockwise. Pretend I'm forming the letter J. I think I've shown this, something similar to this on other machines. I'm coming on this side. Now notice you'll see the check spring. Now when you're pulling against this, hold on to your thread spool. I've got my hand up above. Hold on to the spool of thread on top of your machine so that if it needs to feed, just give it some resistance because we want to pull. Now watch what happens to the thread. You see how it slides up and to the left, right? That little curve is going to the left. Keep pulling. Don't worry about your check spring. Just keep pulling. Boom. And now what has happened? We've literally gone. All right, camera. Okay, so the thread went around to the left, it followed up this smooth curve, and it went all the way around. You got to keep going because it goes a good ways up, and then it comes back around, that curve ends, and it drops down and sits in this little space right here. Okay, it's like a little valley, and that's where it needs to live. And then when you pull up again, now you see the check spring. Okay, that check spring is a very important part of the tension assembly. So tension assembly has a lot more going on than it really looks when you just look at it. Doesn't bring a lot of attention to itself unless it's not working properly. Then you will really know quickly that it's not working. Okay, so we're going to come back out, and now that we have we've gotten the tension assembly and the check spring engaged. Now we're going to come over here, and there's a thread guide right there. This one here. That's the first one as you're moving up. Now, when you're going to get your take-up arm threaded, you really want to have the take-up arm in the highest position. So I'm going to come up. Now this is a very easy place to create problems, right? That's how I did that, and of course I caught it because I'm constantly looking at where my thread is. So now that I'm coming up, I have a fairly long thread tail here. Hold on to that thread, because if you don't, now, for example, I have a long thread here. If I'm going to create all this slack, because I'm trying to thread the take-up arm like this YouTube vintage guy's telling me, okay, notice below we've got all of this slack. There's nothing wrong with the slack, but you need to be aware of what's going on with it. So so we're going to take the thread, we're going from right to left, and I've gone through the hole in the take-up arm. before you start pulling that thread, no, don't do that right away. Let's take a look down here. Look at all that extra thread. You want to make sure you know what that stuff's doing. So I'm literally holding it up here like a little lasso. Now you could also just have less slack. Okay, I gave more slack than I normally do when I thread a machine. Some of you will be tempted, you know you are, you're going to be tempted to grab a hold of that spool and just turn it backwards to get rid of the slack. Remember, don't do that, because now you're pulling, you may end up pulling thread backwards here. Okay, now the slack is not happening before the tension assembly, it's happening after. So you're going to have to pull, you will be tempted to pull all of this slack back through the tension assembly, and then you will be doing unnecessary roughness, to use a football metaphor, unnecessary roughness to your tension assembly, okay? So if you end up with the slack, eventually you won't have this much slack because you'll know just how much thread to pull. But I'm giving you a worst case scenario because it happens, okay? So notice I'm holding the slack. Watch your thread, watch where it's going. Don't let it will wiggle and coil around the weirdest places. Now you can see I can just let go because now I have all the slack pulled through and it hasn't gotten coiled or wiggled around. Never underestimate thread's ability to go hiding and causing you problems. Now, coming down, remember I'm coming back down, and I'm going to go into this thread guide right there. Next thread guide, you're going to have two actually. You have two because this machine, you start to see this in the 60s and 70s especially, when they introduced double needle stitching. You can have two tops, you can have two top threads on a machine, but we're just doing the one here. So I'm going to just choose the one on the left, and as I push into this guide, you won't hear anything, but you'll feel it sort of feel it click into place, not hear it. I know that sounds off, but you got one more thread guide though. Let's take a look down below. It's easy to miss this because it's not, some of the earlier singers had, some of the earlier sewing machines for that matter, not just singers, have big thread guides. I mean, they're huge. But here, it's a little smaller. So I'm going to choose the one on the left. If you thread your Kenmore on the left here, do it on the left here. If you're threading it on the right, you can do it on the right. You'll have a thread guide on either side of the top of the needle shaft. Okay, the thread guide is actually attached to your needle clamp, not to your needle. And I'm going to come here, and I'm just simply go back, and when I do that, I get behind. Okay, I'll take this one back out. So and this is kind of a weird wonky thing to look at. So I got to give you guys a little more zoom here because it's frustrating when someone's saying, hey, look at this, but you can't see it. I know that happens to me a lot too. Okay, so let's get as close as we can get. All right, so I'm going to come down. I'm coming this way, okay? Get my fat thumb out of the way so you can see it. Now, notice where I'm going. I'm pulling the thread. Eventually, you'll just do this facing the machine from the front. You won't need to see it, but first time, I'm coming there, okay? Now, and then do you see the thread wanted to move. You got to watch your thread. Now, once you see that, you pull it towards you, and it will now be in that little thread guide that's very hard to see, but it's not hard to thread. You just have to remember it is there. And because this is a Kenmore from the 70s, we'd finally get to thread our needle, and our needle is going to be, did you guys see that? I just found another coil there. Right? We thought we were home, but look here. Look what happened. You see the thread? It's in the thread guide. You think you're almost home, but all I have to do is thread the needle. Yes, but there's a problem. Look where the thread is. It's behind the needle. You don't want your thread behind the needle right before you thread the eye of the needle. Make sure that it's on the front. Okay? Again, if this happens to you, don't feel bad. Don't worry. You haven't hurt your machine. It's just going to sew like crap until you remedy the situation. So I am going to now, I'm going to cut just a little. I don't need all of that thread tail there. So now I'm simply going to thread my needle. Now, there's something that did not happen. Did you guys catch it? I always tell you, what should we do when we're threading a machine? Well, what we're supposed to do is lift our presser foot. You guys remember? Why do we do this? Because when you lift the presser foot, it releases the tension on your tension assembly, okay, on the discs. And that's what you want, okay? If you don't, then you could have a problem with your tension. Now, I did that on purpose to see if any of you would catch it. I like it when my viewers are like, hey, you forgot something. All right, now I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to thread the needle. Now, this machine threads its needle front to back. We are no longer like going back years ago when we had to thread left to right or right to left. It's nothing. It's not. One is not better than the other. Some people think front to back is easier to see. You all let me know if you think that's an easier an easier path for you to thread a needle. That's just a guess. I mean, I don't know that it's easier. That's just me imagining. Now, front to back threading. We threaded it. We come under the presser foot and we're good to go. Now, that is how you thread the Kenmore 1757, the 158, 1757-2, and its similarly designed variation models. That's why you sometimes see different model numbers on machines that look similar, because Sears would tell the manufacturer, add a feature here, take one away from there, because they had so many models, because they had so many price points and features. I mean, God, it just boggle your mind. So many choices. Because they were that big in sewing at the time. So this is how you thread. This is a 1970s Kenmore, and please remember, I was showing you all the potential areas that you can have problems, okay? And then we did not lift the presser foot, okay, before we went through the tension assembly. Now, if you've done that, you may say, well, I've done that, no problem. You can try sewing with it. But if you have stitch tension problems, that could be the problem. So what will you do? You'll cut the thread here, right? Pull the remnant through on its the piece you've cut, pull that through in the normal path, and start again. And eventually, you will get used to threading the machine so well, you won't even have to look at the video. You'll just do it. But again, as many times as I have threaded this machine, I left this... I didn't lift the presser foot on purpose. I wanted to see if you guys caught that. But as you can tell, like I said, it was easy for me when I was starting in the last video. I showed you, look, I had crossed the thread because thread likes to twist. In fact, they call it, how much twist does thread or yarn have in it? And it happens to you. But threading these machines is not hard. It actually takes a lot less time than this video took to make for you. But I'm slowing down to show you. You know, the first time you do something, it's always weird. It's like, what was I supposed to do? And you look back at the manual and you try to read it and it's like, well, or you try to look at a video. But thank you to my viewers who have said, could you add more threading videos? Because I've never threaded this machine before. And if you do, and you have thread that coils around something, or you forget to lift the presser foot, or you have issues, don't feel bad, because you're learning. We learn more from the goofs, I think, than we do from our successes. You will get it. It will not take you long. And pretty soon you'll be threading this machine super fast, super efficient. And you know this from other sewing machines you've had before, if you are not new to sewing. Thank you all for supporting this channel. If you would like to support my efforts with a donation to Buy Me a Coffee, just click on the link there, and you can make a donation which will help me as I work to expand the channel and find more of these amazing machines from the past to rescue, to wake up, and find new owners for people who actually sew. Because as most of you know, or you may have figured out, I'm not much of a sewist, but I love the machines quite a bit. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.